Hello Piggy peeps, welcome back to Piggie Crumbs, and today we have an adoption story, and that is Rolo's adoption story. Little Rolo here, very cute. He's about 5 or 6 months old now, and he's been with us for the last 10 weeks, and this is his adoption story. So on the 26th of May, I had decided to visit my local pet stores just to have a quick look at what guinea pigs they had, and kind of needed to pick up a few things. I think I needed hay and piggy pellets and the usual things. And I noticed that in our local Pets at Home I should say, they had who at the time was named Rex, in the support for adoption bay, and I inquired as to his story, and it turned out that unfortunately he had been beating up his cage mates. He'd decided he didn't like them and was starting fights, and he got as good as he got by the looks of it, because he has unfortunately got a tear in one ear, and it also looks like he's got some scratch marks on both eyes, but as you can see he's a very healthy piggy, so it didn't sort of give him a bad start in life. So Rex, as he was known at the time, had been put in the support for adoption section at Pets at Home, and was being sort of described as having to be sold as a solo piggy, and unfortunately this is something that I really disagreed with Pets at Home, and was one of the main factors for actually adopting him. So as we all know, guinea pigs are social creatures and really shouldn't be kept on their own. There are special circumstances, but the majority, if not all piggies, should really be with one other piggy, if not more. So I obviously didn't like the fact that Pets at Home were not selling him because it's the support for adoption, but basically had him for adoption, and were saying that he had to be on his own. So I didn't straight away get him. I went home and sort of worked out whether I had space, I had the finances, and sort of just had a bit of a think as to whether I could help with his situation, and it only took an hour, and of course I decided yes, I had to try and save this little piggy from a very miserable life on his own potentially. So back to the store I went, and at this point I hadn't even seen him. He'd literally been so scared and so timid, and had been in his house the whole time I'd looked at him. So when I went back to the store, I obviously checked him over, and he was very healthy. He had obviously the rip in his ear, but apart from that was very kind of sprightly. He didn't want to be held, and looked very healthy. So of course I adopted him, and as soon as we got home, literally he could hear the other two squeaking, and he was squeaking from his little box, and bless him, I think he'd been on his own maybe for about 4 weeks in the adoption bay, and he was so lonely. So, as you should with all new guinea pigs, he then had a quarantine period, which was about a week and a half, and then I took him to the vets, to check he was a boy. I was pretty confident he was by that point, but it's always good to have a second opinion, and just to do a once-over check. He didn't have any parasites or any kind of conditions, and they gave him the all clear. So what I did then was put him in a cage that was basically underneath the other two, so he could hear the other two could hear him, he could smell them, they could smell him, and yeah, just generally kind of get them all used to each other. So Rolo, straight away when this happened, was popcorning, he was squeaking, he was just very curious. Honest to God, the popcorning was so big and so often that I think he was really happy to have someone to talk to of his own kind. So that was about another week and a half, and then I decided, with everything crossed, to try and bond them. Now, when I originally got him, I wasn't sure if I was going to bond them, just because he had obviously had previous of fighting, but he was a youngster, and I thought it was only right, really, with the interactions that they had. Like basically when my two were in floor time, they could see him through bars, and there was no aggression towards each other. At one point Gus literally lay next to the grid, and they were sort of side by side. So I'd had some optimistic thoughts and was very hopeful, but it can't be guaranteed. So one day when I had the time off work, I got a pen ready, got everything ready, put Rolo in first, and then slowly introduced Gus Gus and Rocky, and it was so easy. I'm still super grateful that literally there was only the little bits of chasing and a little bit of humping, but literally nothing. Gus Gus was literally to Rolo like, don't bother me, I'm Boss Pig, I'm just going to sit here and sleep. And him and Rocky kind of maybe a little bit sort of chased out who was number 2, who was number 3. Rocky's pretty easy-go-lucky, so I think he's number 3, and Rolo's decided he's number 2. Um, but yeah, literally it couldn't have gone easier, and he is the happiest little sprightly little pig I have ever known. It's so nice to have a little baby again. I would not really have probably chosen a little baby again, but he is such a sweetest, and I have to say that he is so confident and so curious. I can't believe he's only 5 or 6 months old and I've had him 10 weeks, because he is already so confident. He doesn't mind being picked up. He's not too confident being stroked in the cage. He's still quite timid regarding that, but he's curious during floor time. He is not scared to squeak to let you know he's hungry. He'll take treats from me. He'll eat his pellets out of my hands. So yeah, I just really want to do this video to sort of remind people that really guinea pigs do need to be with other guinea pigs, and that to give adoption a chance. Really, I would strongly suggest adopt, don't shop. I know this is an awkward situation really, because he was available for shop and it was only because he had a fight that he was in the adoption bay, but it was an adoption story in the end. And yeah, I can't believe that it all went together, and they've now been together for 7 of those weeks, and literally we've only just had like some teenage issues, you know. But he's been so good with Rocky when Rocky's having his issues, and he's so sweet, and yeah. So the moral of the story is please adopt, don't shop, and also remember that guinea pigs do need company. They are social creatures. And yeah, I heard so many horrible stories about boys, and literally you shouldn't go more than 2, which was one of my worries when I sort of adopted Rolo. But I have to say that certainly what people say about introducing a younger guinea pig to older guinea pigs in this situation did work. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks, bye!